Welcome to the You Can Make a Living in the Music Industry podcast from Nashville, Tennessee. I am your host, John Martin Keith. Celebrities, working class musicians, and people who work behind the scenes in all areas of the music industry will share their stories, encourage you, and give practical advice of ways you can make a living doing what you love in the music industry. This episode is brought to you by Edenbrook Productions. Edenbrook Productions is the company I founded to help musicians grow in their craft. Are you a songwriter, but maybe you've been told your songs aren't quite there yet? Or are your songs ready, but you don't feel stage ready? Or maybe music is your passion, but you feel imprisoned by your day job and you don't know what to do next to make your dream a reality. Well, Edenbrook Productions is here to help. We offer consulting services via phone call, Skype, and FaceTime. And for the You Can Make a Living in the Music Industry podcast listeners, we're offering an introductory 1-hour consultation special. Click on the link in the show notes to contact me, and let's get you making a living in the music industry. Hey guys, welcome to the show today. This week I'm talking with 5-time Grammy nominated and platinum selling songwriter and recording artist Dante Bowe at Lifest 2022. Dante made history as the first artist to have the greatest number of simultaneous Grammy nominations in both gospel and Christian genres, with 3 solo and 2 group award nominations for the 64th Annual Grammy Awards. We're discussing why hearing no repeatedly helps to perfect your songwriting, the process of putting a live show together, and that if you don't have a vision for yourself as an artist, your label will give you one. I hope you enjoy our conversation today. Get your pen and paper and get ready to take lots of notes. My name is John Martin Keith, and from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an artist and songwriter, worship pastor, and all those fun things. In addition to that, I host a music business podcast called You Can Make a Living in the Music Industry. And so what that means is if I've got guests that all over the music industry come on and share their stories, explain, how they got into music, how they worked their way up the ladder in the business, and then they share, advice with you guys on if you're wanting to do something that they've done in the music business, then they're giving advice for that. So it's a lot of fun. And so I would love to invite Mr. Dante Bowe up on the stage. We welcome Dante Bowe.
Hola.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You just got here, right?
Yeah.
Like literally just walked in and jumped on a cart and came over?
Yeah. But I've been up pretty early, so I'm awake.
That's awesome. Now tell us where you're from originally.
I'm originally from North Carolina.
Oh, really? What part?
Rockingham. Y'all have heard of Rockingham, North Carolina? It's like 2 stoplights, but it's like the smallest place in North Carolina outside of Charlotte, yeah.
Okay. I lived in Wilmington for a while out on the coast and did some...
That's where the beach is.
Yeah, the beach and then the acting, TV shows and all that kind of stuff and stuff like that. So, well, that's fun. And you live in Nashville currently?
Yeah, I live in East Nashville currently. I love it there. I'm so glad I moved from Georgia.
So where in Georgia were you in Georgia?
Columbus, Georgia. It was another small town.
Another small town and made it to East Nashville.
East Nashville. That's the big city to me.
Right.
I'm from
Yeah. In East Nashville, for people who are not familiar with Nashville, Nashville has exploded over like the past 15 years. So East Nashville used to not be a great neighborhood a while back, but it's really exploded.
Now it's really trendy.
It's super trendy and super expensive, and people you try to get out of East Nashville, now people are like clamoring to get into it, right?
Yeah. Transformation.
Well, so would you tell us, you just said where you're from originally, but tell us how you grew up, what got you into music to begin with, and kind of get you on this journey of being an artist. And
yeah, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a very, very small town, very humble beginnings. My grandfather was a farmer, so we lived on a farm. And, there's not much to do in the country. We had we played in the dirt and stuff like that. But then also we would sing for fun. Like my family was all pretty musical except my mom and dad, which is weird. Like it skipped my mom and dad and came to me and my sister or whatever. But Yeah, so pretty much my uncles were pretty musical. My aunts were very, very musical, and they would teach us songs, from church and like hymns and stuff. And that, I guess, started my interest in music because I always thought it was so supernatural, like the effect that someone could have on someone when they sing. I always thought that was crazy when I was younger. And so pretty much, my mom and dad saw that interest in me, and I was trained classical.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and I was like 11 when I started that, and I don't use that now. I don't sing proper now. Obviously, worship is and artistry is just different now.
Singing the classical.
Yeah, I'm not really. Style. I don't even remember what I learned really. Yeah, but anyway, they started me in that, and then they, would put me in the studio sometimes, and I would write a bunch of songs for them, and they were horrible. Like looking back on, I remember some of the songs I actually wrote, and I'm like, they lied to me. They were like, oh my God, that's good, boy. You better keep writing, And I would write rap songs and all kind of stuff. My mom and dad was like, that's good.
And we'll stop there just for a second and explain to people when we as songwriters are writing music, and the professionals in the industry always tell you, don't trust what your family tells you, because your parents are always going to support you. They're always for you, right? That's amazing. That's great. Keep going. And then you take that song that you think is an amazing song, and you take it to a publisher in Nashville and hand it to them, and then they slam the door in your face, and that's it. You're done. You've lost that chance. So you don't ever trust your parents.
Yeah. Now my mom is very, very honest. Like, like she came to the Double Award. She's like, you did good. She's like, but I really like, I'm not going to say who it is. But she's like, he got you on the dance moves. He got you on the dance moves for sure. I'm like, all right. But she's very, very honest now, just because she knows that's kind of how I like being affirmed. It's like, but yeah, when I was a kid, or like even growing up, like in my early 20s, yeah, she was very like, just, yeah, passive. Like, yeah, it was great. But, yeah.
So when you moved, well, let's see, you moved from North Carolina, and then you ended up going to Georgia, right? Is that where does the music come in to where you start doing it on a more professional level, or more full-time level, and starting to getting some experience and exposure to what people know now?
Yeah, I became like a little local celebrity. It was funny because it was kind of like you do carnivals, you do all the talent shows, and then like all of your friends and family, like you don't have real like supporters, but it's like your friends and family come out and they watch you. And so it was like I became like a little local guy that would just come up and sing at all the little things we had.
Sure.
And it was just fun for me, and an outlet, because I was in middle school, high school, and so it wasn't much to do. But also I would do that, go to church, and then I would sing in my choir, and I'd try, I'd sing solos and whatever I try. I'm not good at solos and all that. But I would sing solos in church. And this guy was coming in town. His name was Eddie James. I don't know if you heard of Eddie James, but he's like a well-known like gospel artist. And he was coming in town, and my friend was opening up for him. And she was like, would you like to sing background vocals for me? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Ended up doing that. And Eddie was like, I want all of to travel, come on the road with me.
Oh, wow. That's great.
I'm looking for new background vocals. And my mom was like, yeah, right. You got. I had 12th grade to finish.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, "You're not going. No, we spent all this money, this time, this energy. You're going to graduate and go to college." And so my mom and dad are pretty much against it. Eddie flew from wherever he lived, I think it was Georgia at the time, to have a meeting with my parents. And my mom ended up letting me go, and my dad was like, "No," but we kind of just went anyway. And that started my music career. I did that for 6 years. I sang background vocals for him for 6 years, and I was trying to write him songs every day, every week. I don't know, I'd bring him songs randomly, and he always said no. I think he regrets it now, but like he definitely regrets it. He texted me the other day, like, I love you, son. No, but I would send him songs and stuff. He's like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. Like, sure. Check the scripture reference on that.
Yeah.
All the stuff. And I think over time doing it there and getting all those no's really perfected my songwriting and made me analyze it way more than I would if I had gotten just immediate yes.
Yeah.
Now I analyze and I look at it and I really like try to, make sure it's finished, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, and that's such a great thing because he is giving you the feedback that you needed to have, because that's what makes you keep going back and figuring out, okay, what is not right about this song? What does somebody not accept about what I'm writing?
Yeah.
And that makes you go back and improve and keep getting better and better and better. So that's a pivotal moment for you, really, that having him be in you're starting your career that way.
Yeah.
So that's great. Tell us how you went viral so people understand what that...
Yeah, it's like, I think a misconception too. I think I get a lot of comments sometimes like, don't let the fame stay humble. I'm like, you don't realize I got here on accident. Like, I was not the guy. I was not going to record labels like, give me a record deal. I didn't even know how to do that. But I recorded a video called Real Thing that I wrote for Maverick City. And I don't know, like, we woke up like 2 days later and it was like 3 million views.
Okay, so on YouTube.
Yeah, they made it go viral on YouTube, and that's kind of how that happened.
So how did you get connected to Maverick City?
Oh yeah, so like I had been leading worship, like I said, for about 6 years, singing background vocals for Eddie, and so you meet people here and there. And my really good friend Tony Brown, who is the founder of Maverick City, he texted me in a group text with 2 other people, Brendan Lake and Kiara Bajan.
Yep.
And no one knew who any of us were. And he was like, what if we come to Atlanta and write songs that are like raw and real and faith-filled? And I'm like, why are you asking me to do that? You know what I mean? Because he has access to everybody. He had just written Good Father at the time. So he had access to everybody, but he chose us 3. And that's how I kind of got connected. But it wasn't called Maverick City. We were just writing a bunch of songs. After Real Thing came out and went viral, we named it.
Okay.
Because we were like, maybe this is a thing. Maybe we should like steward it well.
Yeah.
So we named it Maverick because we are the Mavericks of our genre. Just doing something different. You're bringing different cultures together for one purpose. And
So are you officially part of Maverick City?
I'm not officially part of any collective.
Okay.
I'm a solo artist, but I work with Bethel and I work with Maverick City a lot because they're like family. I mean, and they've kind of like mothered and fathered me because it's crazy when you first come into this industry.
Yeah.
So like Jen Johnson and Brian have been like my safe place, and Tony,
Yeah.
So I love working with them.
That's cool. And it's great that you get the opportunity to work with different groups, and writing for other groups and singing or doing whatever, in addition to being a solo artist, because anytime that we can branch out and do multiple things, there's just more to go around.
And there's more you're going to learn.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Whether you're doing it all by yourself all the time.
Right. And the other thing is that each group is different. Whether you're just writing with one other person or you're working with Maverick City or Elevation or Passion or whoever it may be, right? Everyone's got a different tinge.
Where y'all going? Where y'all going? Y'all bored? I'm boring you? Okay, I got it. See ya. See ya.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just kidding, guys.
So now that once you started working with Maverick City, started writing with them, and started getting some experience doing those types of things, how has that changed as they've exploded and as you've exploded over the past few years? Because you're on Dove Awards and you won a Grammy. What was the Grammy for?
My Grammy was for writing the song Old Church Basement.
Old Church Basement. Yeah. So now your family who loved you so much, now we can say thanks because you encouraged me.
Yeah.
They I got a Grammy, Mom and Dad. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how does that change now that those things are starting to happen for you? How is it different now as opposed to when you're first kind of getting started? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't like co-writing anymore.
You don't?
Now that I don't have to, I don't. I write solely with my friends. So, like, I go to Legacy Church in Nashville. And so I write, so I write a lot. I write a lot with them. You don't have to be famous for me to write with you. You just have to be someone that I feel, is just connected to me in a way, and that our faith is aligned together. And maybe we, have, I don't know. I feel like I'm way more particular on like who I mesh with. Because in the beginning, you're kind of like forced to be in all these rooms, and sometimes somebody in there could be more shallow. Somebody could be more, who cares? Like, do this, you know what I mean? And so you're like kind of like subscribing to other people's lackadaisical attitude towards writing. And so now I choose to write with people that I know care about writing. And there's a lot of people that care about writing. Like, I love writing with Katie Torwalk. I love writing with Carrie Job and Cody and people that really care. Yeah. Stephen Furtick is the best songwriter in Christian music. So I like writing with him a lot. Yeah.
That's cool. When you're out doing your shows, solo shows, what's the process for that? Like when you're putting a show together, because people come to Lifest or come to a concert that you're doing and they see the big stage and the lights and putting all that together. Can you talk a little bit about what that process is like of putting a show together? You got full band, lights, and all that kind of stuff. Like, what are some of the details in making those things happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's very tedious, really. I mean, you have, like I said, everything from the sound to the lights to my producer, MD, who programs the music part of it, but the lights have to match the music, and then I have to sing the song differently. Like, we're not actually doing the actual arrangements how they are on YouTube, so we're changing all that stuff up every so often. I would say, like, it's, for me, I'm super simple. Like, I'm not trying to make this sound complicated. Like, I have a pretty easy life. Like, I kind of I built a team around me that don't take any, crap from anybody, and they really work very, very hard, so that way I can show up and listen to the music and create a sound. You know what I mean? But it's pretty like black and white for me. I try to keep it simple. Like, what you're gonna see For King do, like, I have a whole nother thing happening. Like, that's like rehearsals, like, all day, every day, and they kill it. They're like, that's who I look to right now in our genre. I look to For King Country so much because of how excellent they are.
Yeah.
But for me, I just try to keep it simple. I am mainstream / worship artist, so I don't want to ever lose, my worship side, my simplicity side for I'm going to be joy. But I also don't want to lose I'm going to be joyful for my, worship side. So I try to keep it simple and make sure people feel all things Dante in one moment. And I don't know if that answered your question.
It did. Yes. Thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to open up for a couple of questions. Dante's been kind enough to do that. So if you got any kind of question that's related to the music industry type stuff that you might be interested in, we'd love for you to do that. So we got one. Was there one right here? Yes. All right, go ahead. So stand up, say your name, and what question do you have for Dante?
I'm Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I was wondering, solo versus group. Why did you choose to go solo? What's like the pros and cons of?
Oh God,
that's a great question.
That is a really good question. Like, I don't know if I can even.
The pros and cons of being a solo versus working with a group.
First of all, I know people like Enneagram. I'm a 4 on Enneagram, so I'm an individual. Like, I like to stand out. So there's not so much I can. I feel like there's only so much I can give in a group. With, I feel like I am I like to serve the moment. So if there's 4 of us, I'm gonna not give certain ideas. I'm gonna not, maybe dress a certain way that I want to. Maybe I'm gonna submit to the group in every way, if that makes sense. And so solo was my way of kind of presenting what God has placed inside of me. And Maverick has this round where we worship in a round thing. But, I wrote Joyful a few years ago, and that's what God put inside of me. So I'm like, I think I want to present that as the overall thing. Dante Bowe is that. And then everything else is like outlets, like, because God has also placed me in a place where I love to worship and I love writing worship. So like I'll go over to my friends Maverick, go over to my friends Bethel, and I'll write with them and sing with them, and that's another way to kind of get that out. So I think I chose solo because it's just that, it's solo, and I get to be responsible for myself and walk in the gifts and callings that God has placed on me. And that's why. Did I answer your question?
Thank you. That's great.
It's cool being in a group. It's really, really cool being in a group, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to be in a band when I was in college. I had a band, and and then once I moved to Nashville, I was playing for another artist.
Yeah.
And I did that, and now I'm a solo artist, and so I go out and I either play acoustic shows, or I have a band that goes out and plays with me. So there's different dynamics to each of those things, and they all have their upsides and their downsides.
Yeah.
And it's but
we don't argue though. Like, we never argue. Like, as far as like, even if we have different issues with each other, like about something, we kind of, I don't know. It's like a quiet like Naomi, like, oh my God, you just did that, whatever. But it's not. We are like even with Bethel, like I can't recall any like action. We never really get into arguments. So I know a lot of groups and stuff fight all the time and break up and all that. But it's not like that at all, really. So it's just solely me wanting to express myself.
Sure.
In my individuality.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Stand up. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Nessie.
Hi.
Say it again.
Nessie.
Nessie. Hi.
Cool.
What's your question?
So my question is, what if like the words and the rhythm when you're writing songs, they just don't vibe, they don't mash together? Like, what happens? Do you just have like a...
Well, how do you know? I think I just try a bunch of stuff. What I do is I write a song every single day, pretty much. So then you start perfecting it. So don't do it as a hobby if you want to get better at it. You have to just do it every day. And how people like, I'll write a song once a month. And they're like, I'm not that great. I don't know. It's not coming together. It's like, you have to just every day perfect it. Jay, don't I write a song every single day? And so I think you don't know really until you know. I say finish it, try to get through it, because sometimes you might keep those words and just change some chord progressions, change some things around, but doesn't mean you have to trash the whole song. It's like, this is not a vibe. It's like, no, maybe this progression goes better with another song I'm going to write later, and maybe these lyrics need a new musical bed under it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I'm not talking over your head. You know what I'm talking about. So, yeah.
And a lot of times, just like you're talking about, a lot of times people will, a writer will take, the song will sit there for like 6 or 7 years, and they just don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to finish it. And all of a sudden they'll have this musical idea years down the road. It's like, oh, that needs to go to that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it's a hit song on the radio, and it takes some distance putting between the lyrics and the music before there's a mesh that needs to happen. Yeah,
I mean, you have to do everything from love for love, and like, so if you're doing it for success, or I just want to prove that I can write a good song. I want to show it to people. Sometimes it can get all weird and cloudy, and you're creating stuff that's like, it's not so much a vibe. Like maybe the lyrics, I need to change that. It can get all pressure and stressful and all that stuff. The pressure can be on. So I try to sit down by myself every day. I mean, sometimes my road manager's there, or, my best friend's there, but they're just walking around the house and there's no pressure on, and I'm just writing and I'm singing to God, you know what I mean? And it's like, who cares what this does or where it goes? I just want to create something cool for God, myself, you know what I mean?
Okay, so let me ask you that, because you're talking about just there's no pressure, you can write every day and on your own, but you got a publishing company, you signed to a publisher?
Yeah. Oh, I signed my deal next week.
Okay.
My new record deal.
Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. So when
Capital CMG.
Do you ever have pressure from label or publisher to get, because either a time frame that you have to have songs done, an album finished by, or we have to have so many songs written a year for your contract? Do you ever come across those situations, and does that create pressure when for those situations where you're like, I'm writing a song every day and there's no pressure. Like, do you ever have that conflict?
Honestly, y'all, I'm not, and I say this with all humility. No, like, I don't deal with pressures from any label. I don't deal with any old guy telling me how to write my songs, when to come out with my songs, how many to write, you know what I mean? So I personally go about it in a way where, and now this is not normal. This is not normal. A lot of people get that pressure.
Yeah.
But I have 5 albums in my song space right now. So it's not like I'm never being lackadaisical and like lazy about it. And so they don't really get on to me because they have albums to choose from. Like, if they wanted to drop something because they were like, we need something, they can just go get it out of my song space.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think
it's a unique situation that
work
you're in.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get that freedom that you have. A lot of artists don't get that. So
and they don't also work hard.
That's true.
A lot of artists, no, seriously, a lot of artists don't care about their image. They don't care about just the more like the work behind the scenes thing. You know, a lot of people like to stand on stage and like, you know, be like, oh, you are my champ. But they don't want to like be in the dirt, probably like you are. I could tell you're like very serious. But like they don't want to be in the dirt like every day trying to discover who God is and what we saying today, and like how do I write a song about it now? And like when I lost my grandfather, I wrote Voice of God. It's like how do I write something about this? How do I get this out? You know what I mean? And so once you do that, you end up with a catalog of just so many songs, and labels are happy. If you want to keep a label happy, write a bunch of songs. Like that's how they're publishers. You know what I mean? Like it's like that makes them happy, not you performing on stage. Really.
Sure. That's awesome. We got time for one more question, Ulrich. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jackson.
What's up, man?
Hey, nice to meet you. You talked about you kind of got here by accident. You know, you didn't set out to be famous, right? But now a lot of people look up to you and care about what you have to say. So when it comes to abortion, racism, scriptural accuracy in your music, how do you make sure that what's coming out in your heart is addressing things that people are looking to hear from you about? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, for me, it's like, first of all, I'm one of the most outspoken Christian artists in our genre, and I get in trouble too much. I get in trouble all the time because I don't care about this job. But Jalen's like, you have to do an interview. I'm like, I think I'm gonna pass today. He's like, you can't do that, bro. But I don't care as much as people think I care. I really like my simple life. But but a lot of times, I guess, you know, in the beginning, it was a lot easier to be outspoken about, you know, politics or things that I felt strongly about, whether it be like abortion or racism and all this stuff. It was kind of easier, you know. Now, I'm like, I don't even know when. And yeah, I'll still do it from time to time, but I'm like, I'm more concerned with my family and my friends and my church and community, people that's around me every day. And sometimes what happens is I'll say something that a lot of you will agree with in here. Like I'll post about abortion and a lot of you probably may agree with my viewpoint. But a lot of people wouldn't. So they'll say mean things, hateful things. My nephew has a Instagram. He sees all of it. My niece sees all of it. My mom calls me all the time upset at some things that, you know, you guys say. And like my grandmother doesn't understand. She's like, why are you letting them say that? Why are you letting them do that? And like, even though like for me, it's like I got into the place where I don't really care about the negativity. Like I actually don't mind being canceled out of this genre. I'm like, it's fine. Like I'll go home and like live my life with my family. But I love music. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's right. Like my life is bigger than what I do on this stage.
Sure.
And a lot of times lately, I've been trying to balance my team and the people that I actually do have to answer to and care for, and also, you know, speak out for my supporters who love me and I care for them, and I do have to, you know, kind of like pastor in a way like them to where I'm at and what I believe. So I think, to answer your question, I don't know. I navigate it every day. Some days I'm super bold, and then a lot of days I'm super cowardly. And so I'm growing and learning how to deal with haters.
Well,
Yeah.
we're grateful for what you do, and so we
I'm
thank
grateful
you
for you, bro.
for being here and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, we just got a minute or so here. For people here in the audience, for people listening on the podcast that want to do what you do as a songwriter, as an artist, as a performer, what's some advice that you would give to them? Some things to do, some things to not do, maybe to avoid, that are wanting to do what you've done so far in your career in the music business.
I'd say a lot of things, but I think I'm gonna say these things right now. I definitely know who you are, for sure. Like, and even especially if you're a faith-based artist, then you need to really know who you are in God and like who Jesus says you are. You need to know, like, first of all, your personal relationship needs to be strong, and you need to really, really be confident in it, because people are going to try to tell you who you are every day. And I'm not talking about Instagram trolls. I'm talking about your record label. I'm talking about, they told me when I first got into the industry, if you don't have a vision, they'll give you one. And people got other people's visions out here. Mm-hmm. And so if you go into this thing and you have no vision, don't know who you are, don't know what God said about you concerning you, then yeah, you're going to be switching up every day, like, because so-and-so said that. So you're like, oh, yeah, well, I'll do that. Then you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. Okay, yeah, I want, you know what I mean? And it's just like you're thrown to and fro and not even listening to Jesus. So I would say, first and foremost, make sure your foundation is strong, so that way when things happen, when things come up, when you're working on albums, when you're working on deals, okay, these are my core values. And I would choose 10. Write down 10 of your core values. And if you read a contract and it doesn't have any of that in it, then that's not a contract for you. If you meet somebody and they don't have any of that in them, then that's not the person for you. And I think you live by your core values, and that will keep you out of the way and out of trouble. And I mean, you're going to probably get in trouble anyway, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it will definitely keep you, I think, on a decent path. So
Sure.
That's the thing I would tell somebody, like, know your core values, know who Jesus is to you and who you are to him, and you probably be okay.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, man. I'd love to sit and talk for an hour or two. We don't have the time, unfortunately, but thank you so much, Dante, for being on the show.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate it so much. Y'all have a great day. All right, guys, there you have it. I hope you had a great time listening to our conversation today. I hope you take what we've talked about today and find ways to apply it to your career as well. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you listen to it on. And please share it with all of your friends so that we can continue to get this message out to everyone around the world. Remember, Edenbrook Productions is here to help if you need consulting services via phone, Skype, Zoom, or FaceTime. Let us know how we can help you begin to make a living in the music industry.